Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another recommendation video. And today we're talking about badass ladies, badass women, tough chicks, girls who can kick ass or just have a badass attitude that just makes them superior. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't make them superior, but it makes them awesome. And I have all different kinds. I have literal strong fighters. I have women who have strong character. I have women who I'm just super crushing over and I think they're badass. Very protective types, mothers, sisters, best friends. I have it all for this list, okay? So I've made lists like this before. They've mostly been like my girl crushes. Like I've made girl crush lists before. This one, I wanted it a little more focused on, again, like I said, heroines who have elements of being badass. It doesn't mean they're hard. Sometimes it means they seem like they're a bitch, because I think that bitches are highly underrated lately. That's one of my favorite types of ladies. So we're gonna go through all of it. I'm gonna try to make this one of my quick recommendation videos because I just filmed another one and that was one of my long recommendation videos. So we're gonna go a little bit faster, okay? I'm just gonna tell you what the book is, the genre, and then like a couple attributes that make the woman awesome. I won't go into like full plot synopsis for these ones. So we're gonna go. We're gonna start with one that I just read and is definitely gonna be top favorites for me this year, and that's going to be Heartless by Elsie Silver. The heroine's name is Willa and she's a nanny. She's young. I think she's 25, so that's young. Our hero is, I think, 38 and he's a single dad and he's a cowboy. He works on the ranch and he needs a nanny for the summer. He's a very involved dad. He's so great. He's such a great dad, but he needs someone who can be with his son during the day. And he doesn't want to ask his dad to do it. He doesn't want his dad to have to be like a disciplinarian with his son. Not that Luke needs a lot of disciplining. He's a sweet bean, okay? This little precious boy. I love him so much. But Willa just comes in. She's actually friends with the heroine from the first book, and she's a firecracker, okay? And you know what? Spending the summer on a ranch sounds amazing. Even if the dad is a grumpykins, he sure is hunky. He sure is hot. So she's like, sure, I'll do this. It takes a little convincing to get Cade to agree. But once he does, these two are fire, you guys, okay? The tension, the way it built is amazing. And again, for me, Willa is badass because she doesn't take any of Cade's shit. She protects this precious boy, okay? She is a great caregiver. She's also fun. Like, seriously, I wish I had had a nanny like Willa, okay? I never had a nanny ever. I stayed with my grandma a lot, but I wish I had had a nanny like Willa because she is up for anything. She's so much fun, even though she's never like babysat before. She's perfect match for Luke, and I just love that. And so she's so just like courageous seems like such a big word for it, but that's what I felt when I read her. Like, I always had a smile on my face. She is smart, she makes good decisions, she's kind, but she's a fierce protector of this little boy. And she also is such a good partner to Cade when the story starts turning towards that. She is very good at holding space for him and giving him a safe place to come when he needs it. Wow. Okay. You knew what I meant. All right, moving on. Now I have a completely different kind of badass. We actually have a female serial killer, okay? We do. And this book is called Black Sheep by Brynn Weaver and Alexa Harlow. And our heroine's name is Bria in this one. She's a bit of a psychopath, a little bit. She was in a cult when she was young where she was abused. But she also had learned how to manipulate them a little bit. And in that manipulation is when she gets herself into a bit of trouble and they try to murder her. But she gets away and she ends up paired up with this man who is actually a killer himself. And he kind of molds her into his protege and teaches her how to get revenge. So when we meet her, she full on is a lady killer. She has her disguises, she has her plans, and she is systematically taking down the cult that did this to her as a young woman. So yeah, she also is in academia, and our hero is a, I think, forensic psychologist or something like that. He works with the FBI and he studies cults. And so she's trying to get into his program and get her doctorate and they end up interacting, and he is looking into the same cult that she's murdering people in, so they're a bit at cross purposes. But I love this. This book also has pegging in it at one point. Our hero's a bit into BDSM, but he's also not like a full-on like dom all the time. He is in the bedroom, and him and the heroine do like switch it up sometimes, which I love. But yeah, Bria, definitely a badass woman. Then we have the other kind. This book is also on my top books of the year. I love it so fucking much. This is Entreat Me, and our heroine's name is Levain. I know that's weird. She goes by Lou most of the time, but this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. However, like the beauty, well, I mean, it is Beauty and the Beast between her and Ballard, but there are two kind of like cursed beasts, and that's actually Ballard and his son Gavin. And Gavin is wooing Lou's younger sister. Levain, she's actually a widow. She's a feisty woman. Like, actually a lot of people in her town are like intimidated by her. Her own dad's a bit intimidated by her. And her younger sister is actually her half sister, but she loves her little sister. Okay, she loves her almost to the point of smothering, but also in the way of like, I just know how scary the world is. I'm going to protect you. And Lou, like I said, she's a widow, but she had a great husband. And I got to tell you, some of the most touching parts of this book are the way she speaks so highly of her dearly departed husband, and the way that her and Ballard are able to kind of like honor her husband. Sometimes it's hard to explain, but it's so beautiful. But anyway, when her younger sister gets wooed away by Gavin and taken to Catactor, she is like, oh, no, you're not taking my little sister away and ruining her. And so she chases after them, makes her way to this magic castle, and then agrees to stay there for the wintertime while Gavin tries to woo her sister. And she starts to fall in love with the master of the castle, Ballard, who is slowly turning into a like forest creature by the curse. He's taken on as much of the curse as he possibly can so that his son can have as much time free from the curse as possible. And Ballard has taken on more and more of it. And gosh, guys, like Lou, I've never read another heroine like her. Honestly, I haven't. Like, she seems like such a simple, she almost seems like a shrew. She gets called that, but she is fierce. She has a lot of independence because she's a widow. Her husband, like I said, he was such a good man. He helped her to like they had a great sex life together. He was a wise, kind, gentle man. He was an undertaker as well, but he was so like, she loved him so much. But this book isn't about her having a hard time moving on from that, because she didn't think she'd ever find a love like Thomas again, but Ballard and her just connect on this like soul level, and she never sees him as ugly or as a beast. And like, they agree to kind of have an affair while she's there for the winter, but she tells him, she's like, I won't be staying when it's done. When my sister marries your son, like, I have to go back to my dad. I have to. So that's always kind of looming that she's going to go back. But they're also trying to break this curse, and we think that her sister will be enough to break the curse, but maybe there's more to it. We don't know. But Lou is one of the best written, like, fantasy female characters I've ever read. And I don't say that lightly, but she's fucking awesome, and she deserves all the good things. All right, then we have a historical. This is Season of Spies by Golden Angel. This is actually book 4 in Deceptions and Discipline, and you should read these in order because they do have a building plot, as well as we see Evie, who is the heroine in here. Let me just double check that I'm saying the right thing. It is Evie. And we see her be a badass through the whole series because her uncle is a spy master for England, and there is a traitor that is out and about, and she's trying to discover it. And so her uncle doesn't want her to be a part of this, but she says, fuck that. And so she goes undercover in different places. She's trying to discover things. She actually discovers some of the most important parts of this mystery. And so, yeah, Evie gets shit done when the men are kind of sitting there with their thumbs up their ass. She's getting stuff done, okay? And this is also, because it's Golden Angel, it's kinky, there's spanking, there is, speaking of thumbs up the butt, like there's anal in this historical. And it's also just fun. I really love this series. They're all really quick reads. But yeah, Evie is definitely a badass. She definitely deserves the title. We have another that's a historical, but this is a historical paranormal. This is The Oath by Jillian Bondarchuk. I'm loving this series. This is book 2. This is another one, like, you should probably read the first one, but you could jump into this if you want to. But the hero made an oath at the end of the last book. That's why. The first book actually reminds me a lot of Outlander. I've shared that. But there is a deal that he makes with a witch named Venora that he will marry her daughter and protect her or die trying. Okay? And he makes this oath. Because this is paranormal and Venora is actually a witch with powers, that oath is binding unto death, okay? And so he isn't really sure that the promise he made her is like really real or that it's actually like working. I don't want to spoil what that means, but like he isn't sure if the deal he made is working, but he had promised that he would marry her by a certain time, and it's when the marsh violets bloom, and time is running out. So he starts having this horrible pains, and he's like, oh, fuck, this is actually going to kill me if I don't go find Cora. So he goes to find Cora. And Cora is actually starving to death in her cottage in the woods, and she does have the power as well. She is a witch, and that's the big reason why her mother wanted this laird who has, you know, a whole keep and a castle and men to protect him. She wanted her daughter to be safe. And so he literally passes out like right outside her cottage, and she, you know, brings him back to life, and then he explains, hey, we have to get married. So this is an arranged marriage. Now, why is this in my badass women, right? Well, Cora has had so many obstacles in her life. She actually, you can even see it on this beautiful cover, she's scarred down her whole side of her body because she was actually burned at the stake when she was a child, because there are people really taking burn the witch to heart here. And so, you know, Malcolm, he's a little nervous to bring a witch's daughter into his keep, but he also knows it could be beneficial. And he's like, I had to marry someone, and, you know, the deal that I made, it had a purpose. It was a good thing. So I'm going to do this. Again, there are things about this oath that he doesn't know. And like, Cora does bring so many good things to his people, and the way that she's used to being judged, but she still does good things anyway, and the way that she heals and protects his people and becomes like a vital part of their community. I just think she has a very like quiet strength, and I just love what's happening. And also the setup for the third book is fantastic. I can't wait. So I highly recommend this series, but particularly this one. Cora is a badass to me. She's definitely a quieter kind of badass, as I said, but I like that. I like that. Okay, then I wanted to recommend a Juliet Cross because she writes a lot of badass ladies, but I wanted to recommend one that I don't always recommend. So first off, yes, you could read any Stay a Spell, and those ladies are badass, okay? Any one of them. Pick one, they're great. But I wanted to recommend the Black Lily because this is the Vampire Blood series. This is a fantasy series that is also retelling. So this one's a Cinderella retelling, okay? And this one is about our heroine, Arabelle, who goes to a masquerade ball to kill Prince Charming, who is Marius, who is a vampire prince. And she goes there to kill him because this is a world where like the vampires are suppressing people and they kind of abuse people, and she wants to bring them down. So she is kind of leading the resistance. And so yeah, she goes to this, she gets the prince alone, they're dancing, and she tries to stab him. And she gets away, but she leaves her dagger behind. So instead of leaving her glass slipper, she leaves her dagger behind. So yes, Arabelle is a badass. She is the head of this rebellion. And Marius, of course, wants to find this woman who is brave enough to try to kill him, but also he really, really wants to sink his teeth into her, literally, okay? It's fantastic. So, yes, I wanted to recommend The Black Lily. Love it. There's audiobooks for these now, by the way, so it's great. Then we have a good old contempt. okay? I love this heroine so deeply, she reaches into my soul, okay? And that is Elena from Sweet Like Poison. This is the book I've been recommending if people like Yellowstone. I know, it's a new adult romance. It takes place at a college, but the vibes between Lachlan and Elena are Rip and Beth, okay? I will go down with that ship. The author has confirmed that it's a thing. It's true. It's real. It's here. But Elena, we've seen her be trouble, be a bully almost, be all these things through all the books in this universe, starting when they're in high school through college. But this is the book where we get to see her soft, squishy insides and the things that she's lived through and how she is a fierce protector of her friends, but yet is so flippant about all the good work that she does. And Lachlan buys into her reputation, and the times they've interacted, he very much is judging her as this snooty bitch, as this mean person, and he really like takes everything she does at the worst, as the worst possible thing. And then they have this like weekend fling together. They're neighbors actually as well. He actually lives in a house that her family rents out, and she is the property manager for her father's properties. And so she's working on a project to build a deck for one of the houses, and he's just like watching her do this, and it's embarrassing. And so he's like, oh, let me do it. And so he does it. And then they end up having this fling, and he's the first man who makes her come in quite a few years, because she was assaulted. So trigger warning for that. We don't see it, but we see her working through the PTSD of it. And he doesn't know that. And they have a great weekend, and see Lachlan, he's not planning to get involved with anyone because he has a plan for his life. He's going to get his degree, and he's going to go back home and work for the family there, and he's not going to get involved with anyone. But him and Elena just can't help but be drawn together. And Elena is a fierce protector of, like I said, her friends, also of him. When someone tries to disparage him and call him like a hick or like make fun of his intelligence because he speaks with an accent, she's like, no. And he just is slowly won over by, he calls her Elsa for the Ice Queen. And she thinks he's just like messing up her name, which is kind of funny because it's obvious. She has long blonde hair that she wears in braids. It's obvious he's calling her that, but she's just like, why are you messing up my name? It's Elena. But I love this. And Elena's amazing. And she's one of those heroines that she is a porcupine, but she has a soft, squishy belly for her friends and loved ones. And I love that. Then we have Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. Going to be rereading this in November. Very excited. But there are few badass ladies as badass as Bennett Sharp, who is a pirate captain. She's amazing. There's so much about her. It's too much. This is a dark romance. This has poly elements within it. I'll say that. But yeah, she's a pirate. She gets captured by a pirate hunter named Ashley Cutler, and she is held captive by him. Sexy things happen. She also has a husband that she's estranged from, who has something to do with this story as well. There's so much more to go with this, but Bennett is a woman with a plan. She's a female Jack Sparrow, but better put together. She's willing to use her body to keep herself safe if she has to, but she's also very smart, and she has some great like getaways that she uses her brain for in here. And I love it. And I love when she comes up against Ashley because he doesn't like let her get away with a lot. And that's when some things get very kinky and naughty when we're reading this. But Bennett Sharp, y'all, she's up there. She's up there. Inferno by Amara Ray. This is book 3 in her Mortal Coven series. I do suggest you read this series in order. But Willow is a, I can't remember what mixture she is. Damn it. I can't remember what she is, so pardon me. But anyway, she wants to go meet with the Berserker leader, whose name is Torek. But the thing is, if you want to speak with the leader before you can ever do anything else, you have to like compete in this challenge and win 3 battles, and they have to be consecutive. So like if you win 2 and then you lose, you have to start over again. But Torek, he becomes very infatuated with her right from the beginning. So he kind of like forces himself on her, which she totally lets him do. Just so you know, like it's dubious consent, but she's into it. Like he thinks he's doing something bad, but she's like, no, I'm into it, type of thing. But so literally we get to see her be in fights, and sometimes she wins and sometimes she doesn't, but she is fighting for the right to speak with him. And it's kind of an interesting dynamic because, yeah, like she has to win these battles to talk about the important things she needs to talk about, but yet he's sleeping with her every night. Torek is a messy boy. Okay, he's a messy boy. It's a thing. But Willow, for me, is one of the most badass characters in this series. I mean, I haven't read Eva's book yet. I'm sure Eva is going to be up there. But for me, in this series, like, well, also Naya is too. Okay, she's the leader, but I can't help it. Okay, this is the one I picked. I picked Willow, but most of these witches are pretty badass, okay? This is a paranormal series, paranormal fantasy. There's witches, warlocks, berserkers, shifters, demons. Like, it has everything. It has everything. It's great. And then the last one, I gotta mention my badass mom, and that is Between Wrath and Mercy. We have Emmeline Highclere, and she will move heaven and earth to get her daughter back when her daughter is taken from her, including team up with her ex-teenage love, who she doesn't ever want to see again, but she must throw herself on his mercy because she needs his help to get her sister back, or her daughter back. And we just get to see this mom in her 30s, mid-size heroine, willing to burn the world down. And the more that she is at this, the more like she comes into her own, into the strengths and the powers that she has. And it's amazing. It's fantastic. I love it so much. Definitely a badass heroine. So there you go. There's 10 badass heroines that I love. There's so many more. I've read so many. Let me know some of yours. There's so many that I can't mention in these, but thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I put up new videos 3 to 4 days a week. If you'd like to support my channel, I do this full time. You can check out my links down below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.